Live on a Money Monday, not a better day of the week to talk about finances, taxes, and our favorite government organization with extra agents right now, the IRS, who has told us, as Chris Whalen CPA here is going to explain, that they just want to send a friendly reminder, because they do that. They just send friendly reminders. It's just a friendly reminder. It's not a warning. It's not a demand. It's just a friendly reminder to update. Well, they have an updated question, but they want you to click the box about digital assets. And Chris, this says basically, even if you don't deal in digital currency, you still got to answer this question, which I think is interesting. I'll ask you about that in a second. Like, why does everybody have to answer this question on their tax form? Taxpayers, quote, should continue to report all digital asset income. I believe the first time this question was asked by the IRS on the tax forms was last year. So they're saying, well, we're just reminding you that you got to do it this year too. Let's before we get into all the details behind this and take some questions about taxes and whatnot, because you're going to be joining us regularly to discuss these topics. What is at stake here? Because the way you read it, and this is the way I used to read a lot of stuff that would come out from the government. It's just like I said, it's just a friendly invitation. It's their party. And now, I've talked to people. It's like, nah, there's usually a little bit more behind it when it comes to either compliance, surveillance, whatever it is. What's at stake for the IRS? Why are they sending this out?
Well, the first thing everyone needs to remember is that when you sign your tax return, it's under penalty of perjury. So even a small question, a yes/no question like this can carry a lot of weight. So they can catch you here if you say no when you have transacted even a small amount of crypto and you perjured yourself. So that's number one here. It's a way to catch people in a lie, if you will. And then also, if you say yes, well, then it puts you on their radar that you might be transacting in cryptocurrency, right? So it alerts them to everyone that might be transacting in crypto, even if it's out of the United States. Remember, most of the transactions are not on U.S. based servers, so people think that they're overseas. They're not going to be picked up by the IRS, which is not true. So it's the U.S. government, and I mentioned this in my slides later. They see crypto as an attack on our sovereignty. It's not just a small thing. So they take it very seriously, and everyone needs to answer this question honestly, or it could cause you problems later.
Since we're going to probably go into significant detail on this topic, I wanted to give you a chance for the folks who are like, I got to run because I got a 2-year-old producer too. What's the main message when it comes to this topic you want people to take away?
Is that no matter where you're transacting cryptocurrency, assume the U.S. government, NSA, and IRS can see everything you're doing. There's a lot of attitude out there. There's a lot of Wild West attitude. Oh, I'm on servers in Russia. No one could see what I'm doing with my investments in crypto. And I would assume that's not true from some of the higher level work I've been doing. So if you're transacting in crypto, learn how to do it, get the right CPA representation, and report it correctly on your tax return. That's the advice.
And one question too, back to the folks who are watching and are thinking this has no connection to me because I don't stream on ROKFIN, for instance, like I do. I don't get paid in locals coins or crypto digital currency or anything like that. Should they be interested in this topic at all? What does it affect folks who think that this is kind of a topic for the sort of dark trollish types like myself on the internet?
Well, I think that the majority of people in the country don't have this is not an issue for them yet. Um, but I think that it's a good topic to learn about as things are becoming more and more online and currencies becoming in a digital form, that everyone's going to be confronted with this at some time. So learning about it ahead of time is something that everyone should take time to do. Although the majority of people should not be worried about this. They're not involved in crypto in any way or any significant way. And it's really not something that's going to affect their tax returns right now or in the next few years.
Okay. All right, everybody. I am very excited to announce that for a few videos this month, I have a new sponsor, which pairs pretty well with what we're talking about today. It is Noble Gold. Oh, and I lost Chris. I don't know where he went. Oh, he's back. Okay. He's like, he's like, I don't know. I got to go get my gold ready for the advertisement. He's going to count his gold while we read through this. So yeah, thanks to Noble Gold. They're my new sponsor, and I'm really excited to have them on board. And if you are one of those people who's considering switching your IRA to gold, then this is a great way to support my work and also to get some great expert advice. They've been in the business of this for over 20 years and have a 4.98 star rating with the Better Business Bureau, almost 5 stars with Consumer Affairs too. So they're a company that a lot of people, thousands and thousands of people, go to all the time to ask some questions and really. I'm one of those people who doesn't know a whole lot about this. This is not an area that I've known quite a bit about until recently, when I started learning about precious metals and IRAs and securing your investments and protecting them with precious metals. Because a lot of people tell me they're concerned about the economy, the housing market, their investments, and this is one way they're looking to do that. So again, Noble Gold, if you want to go check them out, they'll answer your questions about what it costs to sign up, what it costs to maintain your investment with them, and what it costs to cash out. Is this the right decision for you? And again, it's a great way to support my work as well. So if you go to morrowgold.com, and you can also call them at 877-646-5347. Again, 877-646-5347. Go ask them if this is something that you want to do. Again, like I said, they've been around over 20 years. And if you're somebody like me and you've got a lot of questions, they're the people, I'd recommend going to talk to, like I said, because, if it's something you're thinking about anyway, you can support my channel and go ask them all the questions that you've ever wanted about this. I do want to say, because this is one of my first times reading financial ads, that this is not financial advice. There is always a risk for investment, and there is no guarantee of any kind. But again, that's why this is all about going and get your questions answered. If this is something you've been interested in doing in, securing or protecting your investments with gold. You got questions about whether that's right for you. Also silver, they do that too. Go check out Noble Gold. Again, morrowgold.com or 877-646-5347. There's a link in the description box for the video, as well as a pinned comment as soon as this live stream is over. So you can check out both. Just click the link there. So thanks to Noble Gold again for sponsoring my work. Again, if you are going to count your gold and you want a good pair of Malbecs to drink while you're doing that, you can also go to AllisonWinePromo.com. Whoops, this is one. That's the right one. And I can take my ticker away for this is not financial advice, because now I can tell you this is really wine advice. I'm fine with that. I don't think you'll sue me over the wine. But anyway, AllisonWinePromo.com is where I get my high altitude Malbecs. And I got to say, the one on the left, which I typically talk about is my favorite, the Rogue Malbec, is sitting on my counter waiting to be opened right now. It's 0 degrees outside, and no better way to warm up than have a nice high altitude Malbec where the grapes were probably grown in colder temperatures. Well, they probably weren't alive in the colder temperatures, but eventually they grow out of those temperatures. And the one in the middle, almost 9,000 feet. I ski at 3,500 feet. So the grape skins work a lot harder to protect the grapes. It affects the flavor and all the, I don't know if you call it, what do you call them, Chris? The added, the stuff that the nutrients that the grape skins produce. That's all in the wines. It's very, very unique. And they're wines you can't get at the grocery store. And again, just like Noble Gold, it's a great way to support my channel. If you're already a wine drinker, go check them out. AllisonWinePromo.com. You get 50% off the wine itself and 50% off shipping. And again, very unique wines that, a lot of these are from very small operations, family farms, hand harvested grapes. I love promoting them. I love having them as a sponsor because they're just great wines and they're great operations. So go check them out. So thanks to my sponsors. Okay, Chris, let's go back to the IRS announcement here. So let's start with, if it's okay, let's start with what is a digital asset? Because I think a lot of people like myself originally would just think of a digital asset as like cryptocurrency, but it's not just crypto. It's other stuff. So run us through, what is digital currency?
Right. So a digital currency could be any digital asset. So it could be, like I said, it could be NFTs. I talk about that in my presentation. So we have tokens, tokenized assets, security tokens, even central bank digital currencies are actually a digital asset. So, and like I said, the non-fungible tokens is something most people know about now. But all of those things are digital assets. And remember, and I go over this in my slides, but remember that videos are really a digital asset. logos, audio, music, MP3 files, animations. So all those are within the IRS definition of what a digital asset is.
Okay. Should we go to your slides?
Yeah, I think that'll be great.
Okay. What are we looking at here, Chris?
All right, so should be a blank white screen right now.
Yep, we see it.
Okay, great. So hold on a second. Let me get back here. Sorry about that.
That works. It's all good.
All right, so to remember, you're signing your 1040 under penalty of perjury, like we said before. And I show you on 2022, this is exactly where this question is. And I blew it up for you a little bit. At any time during 22, did you receive as a reward, blah, 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 sell, exchange, or gift, otherwise dispose of a digital asset or financial interest in a digital asset? So very clear question. We want to answer it honestly. I went over before at the beginning of the show why it's important. And this is, again, it seems like a small line, but the IRS and U.S. government is very interested in cryptocurrency for a lot of national security and financial reasons. So we want to make sure we're honest here.
Hey, and Chris, one thing I wanted to add is, we have had accountants in the past who did not, they didn't even think to ask this question. So make sure if you're working with somebody who's doing your taxes, I can't remember if you already said this, because I know we've talked about this offline, but make sure that if you have somebody that's working your taxes for you, that they're aware of this kind of thing. Because I think there are some accountants who are they're kind of, back in the sort of pre-digital currency way of doing things, and they're not asking these questions. So you got to communicate well, otherwise it's going to get overlooked.
I agree. So we just went over this a minute ago. What are digital assets? Allison asked. I went over this list with you a few minutes ago. So it's not just cryptocurrency. So you might be involved in a security token and not know it, or a central bank digital currency sometimes. So think beyond cryptocurrency. We're not just talking about Bitcoin or Ethereum here. There's other ways that you could be involved with digital assets and might need to answer yes to that question, right? And remember, here are some other digital assets like we talked about. These could be electronic documents or illustrations or even gaming accounts. Sometimes social media accounts have a token or have something involved there too. So it's going to get very hard for everyone to not answer yes to that 1040 question eventually. So this is very important. Crypto transactions are not the same as stocks. When you relinquish ownership of a crypto, you then have a taxable transaction, not just when you eventually cash out to fiat currency. This means exchanging a crypto for another crypto must be reported on your tax return every time you do that, right? So every time you exchange or cash out a crypto, the IRS will need to see the following. What crypto did you sell? How many of it did you sell? Even a partial coin, for example. When you acquired it, what was the basis in it? The date you sold it or exchanged it, and the proceeds. So every time that you exchange a crypto, even a nominal portion of a crypto coin, you need to report that specific transaction with this type of information, right? Many people believe that if they leave all of their investment in crypto and do not convert it to fiat, they do not have any taxable events. This is not true. You can have millions of dollars of taxable transactions and never take any fiat out of a wallet or exchange. Very important. A lot of people don't realize that. They think only when I take fiat out and cash out in US dollars, then I have to report. That's not true. Here's an example. So on February 1st, 23, I'm putting $1,000 cash into Coinbase, right? Same day, I'm buying $1,000 of Bitcoin. On Valentine's Day, February 14th, my Bitcoin has increased in value, but I want to offload that, so I exchange it for a Dogecoin. Very simple transaction. Remember, the only cash we've seen is what I initially put into Coinbase. Give you this information again. So now what does the IRS need to see in this case? So I bought the asset, Bitcoin, on February 1st. I sold it February 14th. My basis was 1,000. My proceeds are 1,500, and my gain is $500. Now remember, I did not receive that 1,500 in cash, but yet I have a taxable gain of $500. That gives you a really brief summary of the kind of information you need to keep and what you need to report. Remember, if Dogecoin goes to zero value, you still have a $500 gain. Remember, it's at the moment you receive that Dogecoin. So let's say Dogecoin goes to zero. There's nothing you can do about that unless it's worthless. So remember, the value that you currently hold is meaningless usually. We need the basis when we got the coin, and we need the fair market value when we exchange to a new coin. Now, the IRS, the US government and their enforcer, the IRS, they treat crypto like an attack on our sovereignty, also known as an enemy they are on a war footing with. So I cannot stress this enough. Assume that all of your transactions are being tracked in crypto and digital assets. Even those you believe are offshore and encrypted, don't live in a fool's paradise. Make sure you download backups of all your transactions often, as these exchanges and wallets can disappear. Without this info, you could be at the mercy of the IRS and overpay your taxes. Remember, some of these foreign servers and wallets, they could be gone in a minute and you have no recourse, right? Something about using crypto in business. There are many mistakes that are made when accepting and using cryptocurrency in a business. Most clients that engage me that are getting paid in crypto or accounting for it incorrectly. There's too much to detail here, but if you haven't gotten detailed advice you trust, contact me. And that's the end of that slide presentation.
Okay. So I guess what's at risk at the end of the day? What's at risk for you? Number one, if you say, whatever, I screw the government.
Well, don't forget you have tax evasion, right? That if you knowingly engaged in crypto exchanges and some types of sales somewhere of those assets, and you don't report it, so you're evading taxes.
Does the excuse of, oh, this is kind of a new thing, I didn't know what I was doing, work?
Ignorance of the law will never fly with anybody, and especially the IRS. Remember, the IRS is different than any other agency of the government. They're really a separate kingdom unto themselves. So, but really, they can't allow ignorance of the law to persuade them. And so a lot of people have millions of dollars of transactions and a lot of gains. They haven't pulled the fiat out, like I said, so they don't think they have a taxable event. They're being honest. They're not evading taxes purposefully, but it's still tax evasion possibly.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have penalties and interest. So if you don't report the gains even honestly, you have the tax to pay, but then incredibly high penalties and interest.
A lot of people have questions about central bank digital currency and sort of the end game of the sort of, I guess, the global monetary system being to just have easier access to tracking people's financial information or just tracking you personally. How does this all play into that? And I guess because if they want digital currency, why aren't they just happy that we all have digital currency? I mean, is it because we're competing with their plan for
they
it?
don't control it.
Right.
Like I think if eventually what I see happening is that we're going to have a US digital currency and they'll outlaw the use of the rest of them for any US citizen. So remember that the only reason why this exists, excuse me, is that the government allows people to trade in crypto. And so eventually I could see them outlawing that because they want to have their own cryptocurrency or digital currency, because then we can institute social credit score like in China, right? So once the US government can follow all of your transactions on a blockchain, they can then and monitor everything you're spending and where. They could start taxing you if you're doing something, for example, that hurts the environment. They say, oh, Allison is spending too much money on this car or this activity, and we know there's a large carbon footprint, so they can give you a penalty for that, and they can track everything that way, which is what the World Economic Forum wants to do. Klaus Schwab, that very sweetheart of a guy, that's the idea. You cannot hide anything that you're doing. You have no privacy at all. No financial privacy is what the globalists want, it seems to me.
There was a comment over on ROKFIN about the IRS has no international jurisdiction. Oh, there we go. Has no international jurisdiction whatsoever. He is dead wrong about offshore transactions. Any response?
Well, I don't have jurisdiction in terms of control, but every US citizen has to report their worldwide income. So they have jurisdiction over every U.S. citizen and any investment or business income that they're acquiring, whether it's through crypto or other means. So yes, the U.S., even if you've lived out of the United States for 100 years, you still have to report your worldwide income by law as a U.S. citizen. So they definitely have jurisdiction over the U.S. citizen and the requirements. They don't have any jurisdiction over a foreign wallet or exchange or a foreign bank. Of course not. But they have jurisdiction over us, and we still have to report our worldwide income every year.
Okay, we're gonna take some questions from locals and make that available to folks over on locals. Kind of a new thing I'm gonna try out, but I wanted to give Chris a shout out. If you want to contact him, he does take clients, and you can go to whalencpa.com or call 732-673-0510. Chris, any thing you want to say to the viewers before we cut the stream and finish up on our locals questions?
Right. Well, before you get involved in crypto, educate yourself about the ins and outs and the pitfalls. Some of them I mentioned today, but that's prudent advice in anything you're going to invest in. I did want to make a comment about Noble Gold, that too many people are leveraged too heavily in the stock and bond market. So I'm always an advocate to make sure that we do divest from there a little bit. We want to have hard assets. No better hard asset than gold. No better hard asset than real estate. So if you have all of your retirement and other holdings in the stock market, please consider that you have too much of a leverage within that area, and you want to divest. This is a really good idea to have something in gold or a commodity separate from the stock market.
And Chris, I did forget to say that you do get a free quarter-ounce American Gold Eagle coin with every qualified IRA of $50,000 or more if you get in before the end of the month. So, and I actually do think that extends to February. But yeah, if you do end up transferring, you got a qualified IRA of $50,000 or more, you get a free quarter-ounce American Gold Eagle coin. So hey,
And
there you
just
go.
remember,
Yeah, go ahead.
Remember that gold or commodities or investments, whether they be for retirement or individual investment or rental properties, remember, these have all been demonized for years by the big banks and the investment houses because they don't make any money on it. So just remember that these have been a little demonized when they shouldn't have been. Of course, you want to get correct advice from a financial advisor, but diversifying is always a good idea.
Chris, let me give people a sense of the questions they're going to get answers to over at Locals, aliceamaro.locals.com, where you can become part of my editorial board. And you know what? You can get this content for free if you just go sign up. Chris and I are both at Locals, though he just disappeared again. So I hope he comes back.
No, I'm here.
I just don't. Okay, your camera went out for a second. So yeah, if you go for $5 a month, though, you can pose the questions ahead of time for interviews for people like Chris. And it's one of the best ways to support my work. $5 a month, and you get to be part of my editorial board meetings too, where you can chat. I do them every weekend, give feedback from the week before, pitch story ideas and interview ideas for the week ahead. But like I said, just go over and join it for free, and you'll get all of Chris's answers to the questions that people put in ahead of time yesterday. Let's answer this one question before we cut it, and I'll give a couple other questions that you'll get on Locals, because I thought this was interesting. Ask Chris, what is income? What do you define that as?
So so income is the value of anything received for services rendered or as a return on investment. So example number one, you received 2 sheep worth $100 for cutting someone's grass. You've earned $100 of business income. Example 2, you stake your Bitcoin, which means allowing other people to put it out to investment of some kind, and you earn $500 worth of any other coin. You have earned $500 of investment income. So there's business income and investment income.
All right. And On a serious note, I'd like to hear his thoughts on the likelihood of a federal digital currency being implemented in our lifetime. And what's your opinion of return-free tax systems and whether we should switch to some form of it here in the US? So we're going to answer that question and more. Look at all these great questions that came in from people ahead of time yesterday. Those questions and more, especially about the federal digital currency being implemented in our lifetime. If you're watching this live, I really appreciate it. And go over to local, sign up. You'll get the answers to all these questions.